Hey guys, what's going on? This is RJ Game News USA, back today with another top 10 list. And today, I want to count down my top 10 favorite horror movies of 2025. Now, full disclosure, I have not viewed every single horror movie. This is not a list of what the critics like the best or what the best sales were. This is just my personal favorites. So, again, you could have a completely and totally different personal favorites list. But this is just my list, and I want you guys to, watch the video, see what you think, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But when it comes to this, let me give out some dishonorable mentions before we get to some honorable mentions. I hated Weapons. I hated The Monkey. I hated I Know What You Did Last Summer. I really didn't like Companion that much. These movies were all like total misses for me. And then, some honorable mentions. I would say there's stuff like Bring Her Back, Bugonia. Didn't quite make the cut. Wolfman, Woman in the Yard. These are like mid movies, like 7 out of 10 movies. But, I feel like this year had a ton of 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 movies. Just every month it seemed like at least there was one that was in theaters. There's even plenty I missed, such as Hard Eyes and stuff like that. And, another dishonorable mention, Megan 2.0. Yeah, that's not even a horror movie. But anyway, that being said, I've narrowed it down to 10 of my favorites I've seen this year. And let's go through the list. I'll discuss each one just a little bit. I have full reviews, I believe, of every single one of these movies on the channel. If you want to check these out. But number 10, Shelby Oaks. Reason I like this movie so much, it felt like a little bit Blair Witchian, a little bit with the wooded setting. It also felt like anything could happen and then there could be a twist at any moment. I am not a hugest fan of the found film footage movies, but I think they weaved it in pretty cleverly. And I don't think the twist ending was necessarily the greatest, but it was okay. And I would say this movie's like an 8 out of 10. And I think it's a pretty good movie. I certainly think there's better ones, though. Starting with number 9, Him. Now, this is a football horror movie, so I very much look forward to it. It didn't quite live up to the hype that I was giving it. It really felt like you'd mixed in almost an Aaron Hernandez-style character mixed into this horror-like universe. And it's like, if I didn't already watch the documentary Hernandez, then maybe it wouldn't have took so much sting out of this. Because sometimes real life can be scarier than what movie producers put out in a movie. Like Hernandez is creepier than this to some degree. There's a lot of like ritualism in here. I enjoyed what he did at the end. But overall, I feel like this movie could have had a little more to it. And I felt like it was missing a few things to flesh it out. It was a very short movie, too. Number 8, 28 years later. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys. This movie's growing on me. I went when I left the theater that day feeling disappointed. Like, what the fuck was that ending? And I don't want to see the sequel. To now I'm excited for the sequel. And I'm just viewing it. I don't really view it in the same lens of this is the 28 days later sequel or the 28 weeks later sequel. I just don't. To me, it doesn't even feel like the same fucking franchise at all. For one thing, those 28 day later movie, I should say, felt very like cheaply filmed, and the zombies were frantic and running at you or whatever. And in this movie, 28 years later, they have some scenes that try to replicate that, but for the most part, it's just shot. It just such beautifully shot, you know, so cinematically shot. And then the one scene where they're running across the island, the father and the son, they're running across the sea, has the runners chasing them, was an epic scene. You know, the ending felt Power Ranger-esque, which was divisive at the time. To me, it's not a super, it doesn't feel like a super scary, like, horror movie in the traditional sense anymore. Because 28 Days Later genuinely scared me when I was younger. The way the zombies would run at you and stuff. And this movie does not terrify me at all like that. But I think they've made a lot of interesting characters and made it such an interesting story that as time goes on, I'm appreciating the movie more and more, and I'm excited for the sequel. So it's just different. If they had called it something else entirely, like Bone Temple, that they're calling the next one, maybe I wouldn't have gotten so hung up on some things. But number 7 is Final Destination Bloodlines. Full disclosure, I don't really watch Final Destination. So when I saw this movie, I kind of almost want to go back and watch some of the other ones, because I found this to be, on one hand, tense as hell about what's going to happen. I found it to be comedic at times when it needed to be. I thought the ending was fantastic and a little goofy. There's a lot of goofiness involved with this movie, but with the right mix of seriousness as well. And the kills are so good. Like, you can't ignore the fact the kills are so good. And, but at the end of the day, you know, and the story was fine. But at the end of the day, there's only so much a movie like this can do. So it can only go so far. Number 6, Drop. I'm surprised it's as low as number 6. It's definitely dropped down my list as time has went on. But Drop was really this intense, intimate dinner date. The trailers really sold me on this movie, where you have to, like, wonder, all right, how am I going to do this in this situation and get out of it? How is she going to do that? You know what I mean? And so I really appreciate stuff like that. It feels very Twilight Zone-esque, but in a full runtime of a movie. Like, if they would take more stories like this, shorten them up, and make them an hour-long Twilight Zone episode, and just do more of them, I would be very happy. Like Black Mirror style almost, maybe, if you want to throw some tech in there. But as a movie, as an overall movie, it was a very good movie. But I feel like there's another movie right above this that I just seen that does this, but a little better. Number 5, The Housemaid. Oddly enough, involving the same male lead. This movie has about 2 or 3 twists or turns that are excellent. You know, involves them taking on a housemaid. There's a potential affair going on. There's some, you know, the mother seems crazy, but is she? You know, this guy seems nice, but is he? You know, it starts to break down and get crazier and crazier. She's in a situation where she can't leave her job, or else she's back in jail. So it's a situation of human desperation, and also a mix of carnal desires and just horrible human behavior. But love the ending on that. Love the movie overall. Gotta give it number 5. Number 4 on my list, most of you are going to hate this, but it's the Until Dawn movie. A lot of you say, well, it doesn't follow the story, it doesn't follow the game. It doesn't need to. I played the game, I saw the story of the game, we don't need to repeat it. I like the element of a Groundhog Day-esque element where the day starts over and you go again. I thought that was good and unique. I always like movies that do a Groundhog Day-esque style thing to it. You know, except they increasingly seem to get more and more injured after each day from the previous day. So they have to figure out how to stop this nonsense, and that's sort of the gist of the movie. There's a really excellent kill that I still think is the single best kill of the year. Like, Final Destination has most of the great kills this year, but the single best kill of the entire year for a horror movie was the water explosion scene. That absolutely made me jump out of my fucking seat, and I love this movie for it. Number 3, Black Phone 2. Didn't know what I was going to get with this sequel. It's definitely a little different than the first Black Phone. The first Black Phone felt a lot more grounded in reality and was extremely creepy. This movie to me did not feel as creepy, but it felt like we have a more notorious villain now in the horror movie genre, from what I could tell. If this franchise continues, the way that he was resurrected and the way the snowy setting in the isolated area, I enjoyed a lot of things about this. Them going even more of a supernatural route with it. I think it was the right decision. I think overall it's a better movie than the first Black Phone, by a little bit. But I thought this was a pretty damn well perfect movie, almost, basically. And in most years, could be the movie of the year. Number 2 on my list, Sinners. For a lot of people, Sinners is the best. Sinners is their top movie. For the first half of this movie, I forgot I was even watching a horror movie. It's so much more than a horror movie. A lot of the best horror movies are just more than just a horror movie, and this one is too. Like, it feels like an organized crime movie, the first half of the movie. It feels like a social commentary. And in fact, I was lost in that before we even got to the vampire part. But when we got to the vampire part, boy, was it great too. Like, this movie is just, it's long in its time, but I thought its pacing was great. I love the slow burn. I thought the characters were all fleshed out, and the way that they shot the twins and one actor playing both twins was crazy work. I thought they did so many things to make it authentic to the era that they were portraying. And I think the movie's just excellent. Just an excellent movie. And anytime you get a movie like this that can break into the mainstream and possibly bring more people to horror movies, I think it is a win for the genre overall. And this movie definitely did, because it's not just one of the best horror movies. To a lot of people, this is just the best movie. But number 1 on my list, it was the movie I predicted would be movie of the year before the year. Conjuring Last Rites. God damn. This movie is so freaking good. Like, I think this is probably the best Conjuring since Conjuring 2. Or, like, besides Conjuring 2. Maybe even better than that. Because it was so personal, involving the daughter now that the daughter's older. And that situation with the Warren family. It sort of tied in all the past investigations, the early stuff with the Warrens, with the last stuff with the Warrens. It really put a nice, neat little bow on the whole thing. And the villain was extremely evil in this movie. And the last 20, 30 minutes get so chaotic and crazy. Literally the only thing I think I would have... maybe some more kills in there. But again, we also got to be realistic to what actually happened as much as possible in real life. Because it's not a documentary. It's obviously spruced up for the movies. But everything that happened, they sort of... I'm going off of what really happened, allegedly, to the Warrens and company at this house. And the scene with the mirror, the mirror scenes where there's chewing of the mirror, there's reoccurring scenes involving the mirror and cutting and chewing it and destroying it. The mirror comes back and shit like that. Really enjoyed all that, and to me, it was my favorite movie I've seen this year, horror movie wise. There's also some comedies I want to shout out. I'm not going to do a whole comedy list or anything, but Nobody 2 is an excellent movie. It's one of the funniest movies this decade, in my opinion. Nobody 2 was hilarious. Happy Gilmore 2, I know a lot of people hated it. I actually liked it, minus the fact that he killed his wife. I liked Happy Gilmore 2. So yeah, there was some comedies out there, not enough to really talk about. So I wanted to make this year's list about horror movies specifically, but maybe that'll change next year. Maybe I'll just talk all movies, because we have the Mario movie coming up. We got that Michael Jackson movie coming up. And I'll definitely do a top 10 list of most anticipated 2026 films soon. But for now, that's going to be the list today. Thank you all for watching. This is RJ signing out. Have a good one.